Hi everyone, this is Kathie from Hand Me Down Recipes, and today we have Sharon from Jawns I Cooked with us. Did I say that right? I feel like I messed it up.
Jawns I cooked. Like
Jawns
past
I
tense
Cooked.
Jawns, so I cooked.
See? I messed it up, sorry.
Oh, no problem.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? Actually, I was
Uh,
once in a Cosmopolitan Roundup and they called me Jawnsy Cooked, so you're not alone on that.
Yikes. Oh goodness. See, it's always something different, and I
It's
try.
I feel like if you don't know the word, then it doesn't really resonate with people. Like I've had people leave comments like, I knew you were from Philly when I saw the name of your blog, but if they don't know
Oh,
the
that's
word,
so funny.
they're probably just confused.
Yeah, it's fine. That's funny. Yeah, and we were talking before we recorded. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I say certain words that are, we called it Pittsburghese growing up. And even though I haven't lived in that area for, well, a long time, 25 years or so, I still say certain words, right? Every once in a while, most of it is out of me now because I know other people won't know what I'm talking about, but every once in a while. And we happened to watch a movie not too long ago where it was near Pittsburgh, and one of the characters said yins, which is only in Pittsburgh. And my husband was
I've
like,
only ever heard
yins?
of that, but we like everyone says we say use, but I don't really say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yins, which means you all for people who aren't from Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And so I was like writing it. I was trying to like explain to my husband how you use it in a sentence. And then oh, it just got ridiculous. Anyway, that's a complete aside. We are here to talk about your great grandma's sloppy Joe recipe, correct? Great grandma.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about how you got this recipe and how your grandma would make it. Great grandma.
Well, I've never actually got to meet my great grandma because she passed away before I was born. But my mom had been making the recipe, and her mother made it. So, like as a kid, my mom made it for like easy weeknight dinners all the time, or like
Yeah.
a lot of times for Fourth of July, she'd make it and put it in a crock pot, and everybody could just serve themselves. But it was always one of my favorites, and I always requested it. But we used to lose the recipe all the time and
Oh
have to
yeah.
hunt it down. And then I put it on the blog, and now it's like a permanent place to have it. But we would be like hunting down the card all over the place, trying
Oh,
to
that's
figure out how to make it, even though it's very simple.
It is simple, but you want to
Yeah,
get it right? Because you know you
yeah,
like it. And so you want to make sure you have because I know how that is, right? Like I have certain recipes that I make all the time, but I do like to look at the recipe because I want to make sure I get, whatever, the measurements, because that's
yeah.
what the flavor is. You want to get it right. You don't want to add too much mustard or not enough mustard or
Yeah, like
whatever.
I've
You want
definitely
it to
I've done it wrong several times, but I was trying to figure it out. But my mom couldn't find the card, and I would use like Golden's mustard or Dijon, and it's not good, or like you've just put too much mustard and not enough ketchup or something like that. And those
right.
ratios are really important. And if you
Right.
mess it up, you could tell.
Yeah, right. Great. And so your great grandma, and you're saying you didn't even meet her. So I'm trying to think like your great grandma would have been like when approximately? Like, can you think of like years? Like,
Like when she was making the recipe, time
yeah,
period
probably
wise.
like the 40s, maybe, or even
Yeah, I would
earlier,
say
maybe.
maybe even earlier because she was pretty up there when she passed away. But my mom's mother had been making it her whole life, so
Right.
it's pretty old. It's probably 40s or maybe even yeah. I would say could have been the 30s too, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
Because
Really.
my
Right.
mom was born in 55, so I'm thinking
Oh yeah. Okay. So
probably
your
longer.
mom. Yeah.
Yeah,
So your mom. So it would have been her grandmother. So yeah,
yeah.
certainly at least the 30s, maybe even
Yes, it's
earlier than
so
that.
yeah. We're
Yeah.
talking could maybe be 100 years old. Not sure.
That's incredible. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. I'm so tickled that you're sharing it with us. And we will, of course, link the recipe in the show notes for everyone. But it's a super simple recipe, but because I did make it and it's tons of flavor. And I have made plenty of sloppy Joe recipes. They're generally very saucy and have tomato sauce with a little bit of ketchup.
Yeah.
Yours has no tomato sauce. It uses ketchup pretty much as the sauce, but it's much thicker than I am used to
Yeah, it's
from
like
a
kind of like
sloppy
an
Joe.
almost an unsloppy Joe.
Yeah, it is not near as sloppy, and it's so good. It was so good for everyone. So it's very simple ingredients: ground beef, onions, green peppers, ketchup, mustard, Worcestershire sauce, which I feel like I
Yeah,
never
just
quite
a
say
tiny
this.
bit of sugar in there. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it was so good and so simple, and it comes together so quick, and it's like frugal too. Like who doesn't need a frugal meal,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Like all you need is some buns and a pack of ground beef, and you're pretty much set.
Right. And a simple salad on the side or some,
Yeah.
like baked beans or something would probably be pretty good too. So you said your mom made it all the time, just kind of as a weeknight. It's and a barbecue kind of thing. It wasn't like a special occasion. It's not a special occasion kind of food. It's a simple food, but it's a good food, and you could really bulk it up. I think add a lot more onions, add a lot more green peppers.
Oh,
You could
definitely.
really
Yeah.
bulk it up for people who are. So you were saying, and she says this in the blog post to the recipe, like don't try to like fancy it up.
Oh yeah,
Don't
if you
be
try to, it's like if you want to add Dijon, you're probably not gonna like it because I can speak from personal experience, having been like, oh, I have that, let's try it. It's not good. You have to use the straight yellow mustard. Like you'd be better off mixing dry mustard with some liquid and making your own mustard rather than using that. And still, that's
right.
not as good as just regular old yellow mustard.
And I will tell everyone, I'm actually not much of a mustard fan, right? Like, I will never put mustard on a sandwich if I'm making
I
it for myself.
I mean, I am a mustard fan, but would I put yellow mustard? Probably not.
Not
But I keep it for the cooking, but not for the other stuff.
right. So my husband likes mustard in every form, like all of it, every
And
kind
me
you
too.
can
I probably have
possibly.
like 5 of them in my fridge
Right,
right now.
there's always mustard around because he likes it, and he it's funny, he quite likes the yellow mustard, like, on vegetables. Like, he will
Hmm,
dip, like, steamed cauliflower in mustard, like the yellow mustard, and eat it,
that's
so we always
interesting.
have that. Yeah,
He
we
really
all have our
likes
thing.
mustard.
He just really likes mustard, and so we always have the yellow mustard around, and, like, I didn't even have to, like, search for it, there was some of that in the
No, that's
fridge, and so it was perfect, right? I didn't have to, like, buy anything special, and the meat and then I was thinking, of course, that people could easily if you don't wanna eat beef, you could easily do it with ground chicken or ground turkey or
yeah,
something like
I've
that.
yeah, have like some substitutions. Like you could use like a, I would, you could use lean ground turkey, but I feel like it could get a little dry. I'd probably use something with a little more fat in it.
Mhm.
Or you can use like bison, or I've actually had people comment that they use like Beyond Meat and made that, and they thought it was really
Sure.
great. So, I mean, kind of versatile in that sense.
Right, and you could probably for the hunters, you could probably easily use venison.
Oh, definitely,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Actually, my boyfriend was saying one of the best sloppy joes he ever had was ground venison, and he didn't even
was
know
it?
that it was.
Right, because it would if people who say they don't like venison, we don't eat a lot of it at my house, but, have had venison, and, it's the gaminess that people tend to be like, "Mm, I don't like it because of that," but the sauce would almost completely cover that up, I would think. So, the
Oh yeah, yeah,
flavor of
pretty
the
much, yeah. Like
yeah,
I've taken like venison chunks and made like crock pot beef stew, but with venison, you can't tell the difference really. It kind of
right.
depends the way you cook it. So.
Right. Now, one of the things that you said earlier was that about putting it in the crock pot, and that hadn't occurred to me before, but I bet you could. So you just kind of like brown the meat and then put it all in the crock pot and like serve it at a party. Is that what
I
you do?
typically would like prepare it first and then I put it in on warm. It's kind of like a party thing. Like it's
Oh,
done and
sure,
you
sure.
just keep it warm. But I bet you probably could do that and it would probably work out just fine. Like I would
Right.
say you probably want to have it in there at least like an hour or so just to get everything softened. But it would probably work.
Right. Right. So that's like I'm just like in my head as we're talking, I'm thinking, boy, you could probably even do that ahead of time. Then if you
Oh
made the
yeah,
whole pot like today and then just put it in the crock pot for the party tomorrow on low,
definitely.
just give it a little, or warm, just give it a little time before the party. That would be
Yeah, you
great.
can
And so you
start it
make
at
ahead.
low for like a little bit and then just yeah. But don't keep it on low 'cause that's really dry.
Yeah, it'll
But
scorch, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I can see why that would be a really great party food because 'cause it'd be so easy and hands off and great for, like, a buffet,
Yeah.
excuse
All you
me.
need is a
Yeah,
spoon and a bag of rolls and you're good.
right. Yeah, yum, and I'm gonna tell you, we're a household of 2, I say this all the time in the podcast, and so, I did make it, and, I had a little extra, like, just a little bit left over because obviously, yeah, for 2 people with the buns and the side dish, it's
Yeah.
kind of it's a lot to eat. So we had a little bit left over and it was in the fridge and kind of later in the day, my husband said, I think that would be really good on a pizza, the leftover. And we
I
did.
never thought of that, but that's probably really
You know what? I would not have thought about it on my own, but my husband was like, I think that'd be really good on pizza. So we did. That's what we did. We put the leftover on pizza the next day, just like a
oh,
cheese
nice.
pizza. And I'm going to
Yeah, I
tell you, it
actually
was
have, yeah.
really good.
I mean, I might have to try that the next time I make it.
It
I
was
actually have
really
a
good.
yeah, I have a recipe for it with, like, it's like a sloppy Joe casserole too, where you put, like, lettuce cut, crescent rolls on top and
Uh-huh.
cheese, and that's pretty good too.
And peas?
Cheese, just like it's like a
Cheese.
cheese
Okay,
layer,
cheese.
and then you just bake everything off. But the
That
pizza sounds I'm gonna try the pizza probably in the near future 'cause it sounds interesting.
It at first I was like, "I'm not sure." Like, I'm not sure that I'm gonna like it, but, like any pizza, even bad pizza is good pizza, kind of,
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, well, we'll give it a try." And, I mean, he really wanted to do it, and I was like, "Okay, we'll try it." And it was really good. So for anyone who maybe wants something a little different, we didn't because there's onions and green peppers already in the mixture, we didn't add any other kind of but we would normally like a lot of green peppers and even mushrooms, but I don't think I had any mushrooms at the time, so we just used that, and it
They
was
probably would
quite
have been good with it.
yeah, I think so too. So if you have leftover even if you're doing, like, the Beyond Meat stuff, I still think that would be really good.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
yeah. Yeah, and you said the bison, which, out here in Montana would be a big thing, so I could see
Uh,
why that would be really good too. That's so yummy. And how do you normally kind of serve it? Like, obviously with bread, but, like, for so it's a sandwich, but
Yeah.
what do you normally serve on the side with it? Anything in particular?
I'll serve like macaroni salad or like a German potato salad, something like that, or just a regular salad depending on the day. And I like potato buns or brioche buns with it.
Yeah. Yum, yum. Very good. And we had on the podcast a few weeks ago, we had Julia from Farmhouse Harvest, and she was talking to us about her mother-in-law's rolls, which I also made, and they were amazing. And they're really buttery, and I thought, I wonder if they would be good because the butter, I almost feel like they almost would be too rich for this, but maybe not. They'd be probably pretty good. Potato rolls would definitely be excellent. I just use
Yeah,
kind of
potato rolls are probably my favorite ones to use.
right because they have such a great texture.
Yeah, and
Potato
they like a
rolls.
regular one is classic, but like they kind of do fall apart. They aren't super sturdy, but I feel like the potato buns have a little more heft to them, and they're not gonna fall apart as soon as you take a bite.
Right. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm sloppy, I guess. I'm just sloppy and sloppy joes. I'm always like, so I almost end up doing it kind of like with the fork and the knife because I can never seem to like do it in such a way
Uh,
that I'm not gonna get it all over me. And I'm,
yeah, well,
as
that's
it
one thing I always
is,
serve with it is forks.
do
You're
you?
gonna get some on the plate too.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Even if you can eat it as a sandwich, you're gonna most definitely drop some of it. So you need to pick it up with
Yeah.
something. Yeah. Yeah.
And some
So
people love
good.
putting cheese on it, but I did not grow up with that. I grew up with just straight sloppy Joe on the roll like that.
Right. Oh yeah. Now I have never had a sloppy Joe with cheese, other than I did the pizza, so it was good. So I don't know why
Yeah,
it wouldn't be good on the
yeah, it probably
sandwich
would
too.
work.
Yeah, it would work, but I have never. Yeah, that's not something I didn't know that people put cheese on sloppy joes. See, I
Yeah, so
learned something
I
new every
noticed when I
day.
started serving it to a bunch of people, people always say, "Do you have cheese, some cheddar cheese?" And I'm like, "Okay," but it wasn't a thing that I used to do.
Yeah, no, gosh, that's interesting. See, and I wonder if that's a regional thing. Like, not
Possibly.
it could be, but it just might be a family thing too. I don't know, but it's one of those things that's so interesting. This is one of the most interesting things
Yeah,
about food to me is that like everybody can eat very similar things, but in very different ways, right?
yeah.
So like, and even if you wanted to, you could almost dip chips into it. It's not that loose, but you
I
could.
think I have done that actually.
Have you? Yeah, yeah. I bet that would be good.
Yeah, if you're at a party and there's like some tortilla chips or something, just pop them in there. It's pretty good.
Right, right. So we were at a potluck a few weeks ago, or a month ago even now, and I was thinking, this sloppy Joe would be really good at a potluck because it's easy and like you said, you could put it in the crock pot and just keep it on warm and it'd be super easy. And then people could choose the buns or there's always so much food. You can
Yeah.
always just grab some chips and
Sometimes you
dip
just
it
like
in.
put it on the side. I've seen people like just take a scoop and like mix it in their mac and cheese and stuff like that.
Oh,
Yeah. But
boy,
yeah, I've
I bet
actually
that
had
is good.
a few reviewers of the blog recipe have said that they take it to like potlucks and stuff like that. So like
Yeah, and
church potlucks and just that it's easy to like expand the recipe and make a whole bunch of it. It's not like
sure.
it's not complicated.
It isn't. You could very easily double or triple it for a
Yeah.
crowd. And because it is relatively frugal. Now, I'm from Pittsburgh, I said, and so obviously we only use Heinz ketchup. So it can be a little expensive on the more expensive side, but you don't have to use Heinz. But because I'm from Pittsburgh, it just would not occur to me to use another brand of ketchup. And Heinz is not a sponsor of this podcast, but that's where I grew up and that's the only one. But you could use, a store brand ketchup that would not be quite so expensive or even a homemade ketchup because I have canned and made my own ketchup, but it takes a lot of
Yeah, some of
tomatoes,
the
obviously.
ketchups are I don't mind the Aldi brand, store brand ketchup. I'll mess with that one a lot. As far as the mustard, I do actually prefer the French's.
Oh yeah, which is what we had, so that's what I used. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so you see, we all have our favorite brand. So use whatever your favorite is. If
Yeah.
you like
Oh,
Hans
and
or
the
whatever.
one brand that I definitely stick to in that recipe is the Lee and Perrins Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah,
That's my favorite. Like I've tried it with the store brand, it's not as good. It'll
right.
still be good, but not as good as with that.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because we make beef jerky at my house and we use Worcestershire sauce in it. And last year we just bought like the store brand to make it, and it was fine. It was fine. But after we made it, we were like, no, it's just not as good. But you need so
Yeah,
much of it for the jerky. But
and sometimes
it's
it almost comes off like trying to be A1 or something. It's not really Worcestershire taste. It's I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. It is.
Do,
It is like the original too, right? Or at least the original's like store
yeah,
bought
it's like the
kind.
oldest one. I think it's like it's branded, but it's yeah.
Yeah,
Do you make your beef jerky in a dehydrator?
yeah. I do.
So I make that too.
Yeah, I do in the dehydrator.
It's really good.
It is good, and we've done it for
Yeah,
a long time. My husband and I have done it for a long time, and we kind of do it as Christmas gifts for a lot of people, and yeah, Worcestershire sauce you need, and
yeah.
yeah, it's just the Lea& Perrins is better. I hate to make anyone spend more money than they need to, but for this recipe in
But
particular,
on the
you
plus
don't need
side
very
though,
much.
you don't need much and it lasts forever. So you just keep it in the
That's
fridge
true.
for a long time unless you're really pumping out Bloody Marys or something like
Right,
that.
right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you would need a ton of it other than if you are
No.
making beef jerky where you do need, like,
Yeah,
a quarter of a
a
cup or
decent
something,
amount.
but yeah, for this recipe and yeah, exactly. This is one of those things, right, where, like, you buy the best ingredient you can afford, especially if you know it's a little bit is gonna
Yeah.
last you a long
And
time. You
it
don't
certainly won't kill the recipe to use store brand. It's just, if
right.
you ask my preference, that would be the one I would use. Yeah.
Right, right, right. Like me with Heinz, like, I'm just not gonna use anything but
Exactly.
Heinz.
And I'll never have nothing bad to say about Heinz. It's good ketchup.
Right? And so, like, and we like the Heinz that's the, like, it's the fancier Heinz, like the one that they don't use corn syrup, so it's a little less sweet and whatever, so that, you just whatever your personal preference
Yeah,
is,
that's kind
just
of like
go
what the
for it.
Aldi one I use is like.
Yeah. Certain ketchup brands can be, like,
They'd be really, really
sugar.
sweet. Or sometimes
Yeah.
they're like almost like tomato sauce, which is a little odd.
Right. They're too thin and they're just whatever. Right. So, and it's like anything else. Experiment, find what you like
Yeah,
and use it. Right. So,
exactly.
whatever but don't go like special shopping other than you really do need to have the yellow
Just the
mustard, as
yellow
she
mustard
says.
really is the only one that can't be changed.
Right. And because it happens to be May when we're recording this and I live in Northwest Montana, peppers are like a gazillion dollars.
Really?
They're like $2 a piece.
That's a
Which
lot.
is yeah, it's expensive, and even in the summer, peppers tend to be expensive here because they don't grow super well. They have to be trucked in from forever far. So when I buy a lot in the summer. I grow as many as I can, and I buy from local people, and then I freeze them. So I use frozen peppers.
Oh, they work great. Yeah.
Yeah, they were fine. They were perfect. So for anyone else who might be doing that, yeah,
I
I'm not
also
paying
grow a whole
$2.
bunch of peppers. I have a bunch of plants starting up.
Yeah, right. Because peppers are amazing, but I'm not paying $2 a
The
piece.
thing about peppers though is like you'll get none and then you get like a million of them.
Right, right, right. And see, the problem for me in Northwest Montana is we have really cold nights, even in the middle of like July, and it's just a tough
Yeah.
climate to grow peppers, but we try. We do the best we can. So, but if you're like me and you're like, I'm not going to pay $2 for a green pepper in the middle of winter, use a
Yeah,
frozen,
the
it'll be
frozen
great.
one's way better. And you're just
Yeah.
gonna cook them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. So they can be a little on the soft side because you're just
Yeah.
cooking them anyway. You're going to soften them anyway, so you
Yeah.
don't
You
lose any
probably just
flavor.
like if you were doing this recipe, you could maybe adjust the cooking time. You don't need to cook it as long because they're not raw. So that's really the
Right,
only difference you'd have to make. And honestly, if you
right.
did, wouldn't be a big deal.
Right, right. That's the great thing about this recipe for anyone who might be a new cook, for example, or you don't have a whole lot of cooking skills. You really could not mess this up. Like you
It would be
couldn't,
very difficult to mess it up, I
right.
think.
And so it's a
Unless
great
you get, I think
recipe.
the biggest way you could mess it up is to not get the ratios for the sauce ingredients down and like overdo something. And then that would be, you would
Right,
know. But even if you
right,
mess that up, you could just add more and then it would just be saucier and you could fix
right.
it.
Right, right. And so you could just experiment with this. This is if you're like a new cook, this is a great recipe. Even if you live by yourself, you could have it and just use a half a pound of beef if you're by
Yeah.
yourself and still have leftovers for a day or so, maybe even. And it absolutely would reheat well, right? For like lunch the
Yeah.
next day or whatever in the microwave or on the stove. So like these are the kind of recipes that you need to have. And this is what I love about handed down recipes. Like we always think everything was really fancy, but not really. Like our grandmothers and grandmothers are just like us. They just wanted to get meals on the table and quickly and easily. And this does that.
Yeah.
And it feeds you and it makes you feel
Exactly. Like when
comfy.
I was growing up, another thing my mom made that was, I guess you'd call it kind of similar, is just ground beef base. So she would just make like ground beef cooked in a white gravy and put it on toast. And that was like a dinner we had. So
Yeah.
it's just like very simple stuff a lot of the time.
Right. It doesn't have to be fancy. Food doesn't have to be fancy. We live in an age where like everybody wants it to be like social media worthy, but that's just silly. Like
And
most of us
sometimes it's
can't do
nice to
that.
just have a really simple dinner instead of something fancy.
Right. And something that you can just turn to and you know it's going to be good. You're going to have it done in under 30 minutes. And so you'll have dinner on the table quickly because we all have those days where like the last thing you want to do is cook, but you also don't want to like spend a gazillion dollars to order in or
Yeah,
go out
no, it's
to
always
eat.
nice to have that little repertoire of things that you can just pull out that are like very minimally effort. Yeah.
So great. Okay. Do you have any other hints or tips about the recipe that you want to tell us?
Um, I just you don't necessarily have to like brown the ground meat like I mentioned in there, but I like the flavor that it adds, so I would not skip that step, I guess. That's one
Okay.
thing that I actually added to the recipe where before it was just kind of just cooking it till it was, cook through and not pink. But I like to add that little browning on the outside of the meat to pump the flavor up.
Okay, so she has very specific instructions where you, like, cook the meat and then flip it and brown it
Yeah,
instead of just kind of
yeah, just for that little extra, the Maillard browning flavor that you get from that.
that is really great. That's a great tip. And I did do it that way, which is not normally how I would brown meat, right? So
Yeah.
normally, like, I just do it, like if I'm making tacos or something else, I just bust it all up
Oh,
from the
yeah. I mean, if
beginning.
you did, it would still be delicious, so that's what I grew up
Right.
with that, but that was my little tweak that I added to it.
Yeah. So it's a little different, but it definitely works and gives it a lot of flavors. So, I always tell everybody, do a recipe the way it's written the first time. And then if you feel like that just wasn't quite right, but you liked it, you can always change it later. But if you try it the way it was written the first time, then you know what you can change. Or, if you really just don't want to brown the meat that way.
Yeah, it's still gonna be good, you don't have to do it.
Right. Yeah. It's so
But if
good.
if you do it, it's really good, so give it a shot.
It's so good. Okay. Tell everybody where they can find you online, please.
You can find me at jawnsIcooked.com, and, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and all under Jawns I Cooked.
Okay, great. And we will link
Oh,
to
and
that.
Pinterest. Forgot about Pinterest.
Oh, sure, Pinterest. Pinterest. It's been different these days,
It's a
but
lot different. It's yeah.
that's a whole conversation that
Oh,
we don't
yeah.
need to we don't need to have here. But it is a whole new thing these days, it seems. I'm frustrated by the search on Pinterest myself, just because I was looking for something recently and I was just like, what is going on?
Yeah, it feels to me like it's they're trying to make it more like a social media platform and less like a search engine, which I guess is good for them, but it's changed the way that it works. So,
Yeah, and there's just so much AI now. Like
yes.
it's really you really like I can spot it, right? Like I know, oh, those cherries on that cake are frozen.
Yeah. One time I saw baked bacon that was like shingled in perfect squares. I'm like, that's not
Goodness, that's hilarious. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, the
they can
AI
make a
of it
game
all.
show like, is it food or is it AI? And I mean,
I know.
feel like I could compete on that show.
But, the funny thing is so many people can't, and it's really sad. And it's, especially really bad on Facebook, I noticed recently. There was,
Oh
like, a
yeah,
picture of
definitely.
something where the jar was, like there was a hole in the side of the jar, and, like, the jelly was coming out of the hole.
Okay.
I was
That's
like
really bad. I don't know if I've seen anything that bad
but,
in a
like, so
while.
many people were commenting, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
people are like, this looks amazing. I'm like, that's not real.
I know. Okay. So we all need to practice our discernment. All right. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me.